So my name is Sidney Smith, and I was born in a little city called Oakland, California, and it's notorious for drug addiction today, and I think it's still on the FBI's list of cities to most likely be robbed in. So my early childhood, of course, I was with my mom and my stepdad, and I had a great home, and they provided for me. They went to work every day, and I had a good home life initially, and as I got older into adolescent, I wanted to go out and see what was going on outside, and as a result of that, I got swept into using drugs very early on. Started with weed, and it just opened up to other drugs. I mean, anything from stealing, breaking into houses, just fighting on the street, just foolishness, robbery, whatever, I could do to support my drug habit is what I was involved with. So some of the crimes that I was arrested for were drug sales, drug possession, theft, fraud, forgery, false ID, fighting, just stuff like that. Oh yeah, went to jail many a times in California, and so many times, I was worried about going to the penitentiary, so I ran from California, ran from the law actually, to come to Mississippi to hide out, and that's how I got here. I thought that I could do a geographical change and run and leave the person that I didn't want to be anymore in California. I mean, I came here and it all went well for a very short period of time until that person that I was trying to get away from in California realized I'd brought him here to Mississippi and began to do some of the same things, doing drugs, found out where the drugs were, who the people are, got in that crowd and began to do the same things, and I ended up with a 20-year sentence to the state penitentiary here in Mississippi. So I went there and I stayed there for a little over a decade on that 20-year sentence, and I was released, and I went back to drugs again. So after 10 years in the penitentiary, 11 years in the penitentiary, I went right back to doing some of the same things again. And of course, my parole officer threatened to send me back, and that's when I kind of got serious and went to a rehabilitation center, and this was number 11. So I had been to 10 different rehabs over a 27-year crack addiction. This one happened to be a faith-based treatment center, and it's called Teen Challenge, and it's the only men's facility in the state of Mississippi. However, there are probably over 2,000 facilities internationally in 100 countries. But this one was different because of God. God made a difference there for me, and like He does for many other people. So my relationship with God today is everything. It's what I breathe, it's what I speak, it's what I work, it's what I eat, it's everything. So the Teen Challenge really taught me the fundamental elementary principles of having a relationship with God, and devotion and prayer and surrender, and how to do the things that were indicative of salvation. And of course, it was God and the Holy Spirit that actually changed my life, but the structure of being in that program for over 14 months, residential living in that program, really, it catapulted me into a position to be changed. But here's what happened. For so many years, and I get this question all the time, especially after entering 10 different rehabs over a 27-year period, and you keep going back and you keep falling on your face and you keep getting high. People begin, what's going on? Why do you keep failing? And why do other people fail and fail and fail and then go back and back and back? Well, this is what the Lord told me, and this is what I understand about my experiences with doing that. We try to fix ourselves. Even though we say that we want help, we're the one that's going to the meetings and reading the literature and saying the prayers and showing up at church. We're trying to do something to change who we are. And that's a waste of time. That's not your job. It's not your position. It's his. If he is who they say he is, he's the only one that can make all you're responsible to do is to commit and to believe. And once you do that, he ultimately makes you new. So what happened for me in that program, that faith-based program that I was in, I finally gave up trying to fix me. I came to my wits' ends and the ending point for me where, how funny this may sound, I was willing to leave that faith-based treatment center and go back to the penitentiary because I didn't like some things that were going on there. And that was my wits' ends because I knew that was the most dumbest thing I could have ever done, was to leave freedom to go be locked up. And at that point, I threw my hands up and something inside of me said, listen, I'm done. I'm finished. I've looked under every rock for some help. I've talked to 100,000 people that said they could help me and nothing worked. I'm finished. And when I said those things, it's almost as if God just stepped in and bing, he turned a light on. And of course, there wasn't an audible voice or, some tornado coming through a building, but something was different immediately. And I knew something had changed about me, but I couldn't pinpoint it. And, and I went through that Rolodex saying, well, maybe I'm sick, or maybe I'm coming down with a cold, or maybe, I couldn't understand it myself because even me, I didn't believe at that point that God would change me, even if he could. 27 years of crack in the streets and eating out of garbage dumpsters. It had become a part of who I was. And now, today, I feel like I've never gotten high a day in my life.